Even if you climb to the top of Mount Everest, you will not be saved from the flood.
Knowledge is power.
I'm getting handsome now, aren't I?
As I get older, they stay the same age.
I'm in heaven.
I don't want to fly.
Where did you come from?
Be quiet.
That's impossible!
Hud is the 11th chapter or surah of the Quran. Before I share with you my general thoughts and feelings concerning chapter 11 of the Quran, I would like to read just a couple paragraphs from the kind of summary and overview for this chapter that's in my study Quran, as I think this information kind of helps give you a fairly clear idea of what this chapter is about in a kind of succinct way. Concerning this surah and several others, the Prophet is reported to have said, "Hud and her sisters have turned my hair gray." The surah begins with the Prophet's call to the Meccan idolaters to worship the one true God, promising them punishment if they turn away from this call. It also seeks to address certain difficulties the Prophet encountered with the Meccans during the earlier phases of his prophetic mission, such as their concealed animosity toward him, their rejection of the resurrection, their outrageous demands that he demonstrate the veracity of his message, and their accusations that the Quran was fabricated. The surah then transitions to a long section that recounts the stories of the prophets Noah, Hud, from which the surah derives its title, Salih, Abraham, Lot, Shu'aib, and Moses. This section has many parallels with chapter 7 verses 59 through 136, serving here to console the Prophet in the environment of the Meccan idolaters' growing hostility toward him and the believers. It demonstrates to the Prophet the manner in which the previous prophets also faced great trials in delivering their message to their people, and describes how, in the end, they overcame their opponents with the help of God. So yeah, I think that's a pretty good overview of what this surah is about. Now, what did I think of this surah? Did I enjoy it? Did I not enjoy it? Well, here's my answer. So I thought chapter 11 was interesting, but honestly, it kind of largely was a rehash. I mean, as it just said there in the summary, it was kind of a rehash of what's already been told in the Quran up until this point. And so while there are a couple passages in chapter 11 that I found were compelling enough to dive into in this video, I did not overall find chapter 11 to be mind-blowing in any, in really any sense. I mean, I thought there was some cool stuff and some practical wisdom in here, but on the whole, the cool information that is shared in this chapter was already shared in previous chapters. Moving on from my, general thoughts and feelings concerning this surah, let's now jump into the analysis portion of this video, where we will unpack the really two passages in this chapter that I found worth diving into. The first passage I would like to read and discuss from chapter 11 is verses 9 through 11. I'm going to read the verses, and then there are a couple portions of some footnotes that I think are worth discussing in conjunction with these verses. So let's go ahead and read. "And if we cause man to taste mercy from us, and then withdraw it from him, verily he is despondent, ungrateful. And if we cause him to taste some favor after adversity has befallen him, he will surely say, the evils have gone from me. Verily he is exultant, boastful. Save those who are patient and perform righteous deeds. It is they for whom there shall be forgiveness and a great reward." Now let's read a portion of the footnote associated with verse 10, as I think it is very fascinating and worth discussing. "When people are then restored to some favor from God, they say, the evils, namely the afflictions, have gone from me. Which is to say, they will not thank God for removing the difficulties, and will not consider the possibility that these new blessings can also be taken away from them. Such people are thus exultant, boastful, but deluded, rejoicing over these blessings while forgetting to be grateful to God for them. See also chapter 39, verse 49. And when harm befalls man, he calls upon us. Then, when we confer upon him a blessing from us, he says, I was only given it because of knowledge. Nay, it is a trial, but most of them know not. What I find so compelling about verses 9 and especially 10 is actually an idea that is present here that I first encountered in C.S. Lewis's book, The Screwtape Letters. In that book, at one point, Screwtape, who's the elder demon in the novel, who is counseling the younger demon Wormwood on how to manipulate a new person of faith to get off their faith, to doubt their faith. A tactic that Screwtape advises Wormwood to use is to get the Christian in C.S. Lewis's book to pray very fervently for God to send some blessing to him or to, grant some wish. And then when God answers this person's prayer, Screwtape advises Wormwood to convince the new person of faith that this really wasn't an answer from God. In fact, this all would have happened anyways, even without the prayer. And it's just this thing that I thought C.S. Lewis identified that's very true, in that, like, very often whenever I pray and actually my prayers are answered, the things I hope for actually come to be, my rational brain sets in and goes, you know what? Honestly, was it prayer that brought that thing into my life, or was it just gonna happen anyways? And here in verse 10, and if we cause him to taste some favor after adversity has befallen him, he will surely say, the evils have gone from me. Verily, he is exultant, boastful. The idea here is that, yes, as soon as, in this context, a Muslim, or I guess just a person in the Islamic world, whenever they are sent a blessing, these verses identify the fact that many, as soon as they receive the blessing, they just rejoice and are boastful, and they kind of lose their head and lose sight of the fact that it was God that gave them this blessing. And, it says here in that footnote, nay, it is a trial, but most of them know not. One of the things I find so interesting about Islam is this idea that the sufferings in life, yes, they can be tests sent from God, but the blessings in life are just as much of a test of faith and character as the sufferings of life. God sends blessings to good people to see what they're really made of, to see if they will stay reverent for God whenever they are given everything they want. And most people, if you look around, most people, as soon as they are blessed and they are given the sort of things that they desire in life, they immediately forget about God and, convince themselves that, the blessings came about because of their own merit, when, of course, the opposite is the case. Now, there's another footnote that I would like to read that's connected to verse 11, but since verses 10 and 11 are kind of like they run together, let's just reread verses 10 and then read 11, and then we will read the footnote associated with verse 11, and then we'll discuss. And if we cause him to taste some favor after adversity has befallen him, he will surely say, the evils have gone from me. Verily, he is exultant, boastful. Save those who are patient and perform righteous deeds. It is they for whom there shall be forgiveness and a great reward. And now for the footnote associated with verse 11. Save those who are patient refers to times of hardship, and perform righteous deeds to times when blessings are received. In a report attributed by some to the prophet and others to Ibn Mas'ud, it is said that faith is composed of two parts. Patience accounts for one half, and gratitude for the other. With respect to the virtue of patience in particular, Hussein ibn Ali is reported to have said, patience is the key to success. In this world, a great reward for patience can also be understood to be that God will be with those who are patient, as chapter 2, verse 153 asserts, truly God is with the patient. What I find interesting about that footnote is, it kind of has this idea that those who are truly, following God, they will perform righteous deeds and be patient in times of both turmoil and prosperity. And that God, truly his chosen people are those who are patient and who do not allow the highs and lows of life to control their faith and their duty towards God and towards doing what is right. And I just think that's all I think that's beautiful, and there's something that I think everybody can get out of that message, whether they're a Christian, Jew, or obviously a Muslim. So the next and final passage I would like to read and discuss of chapter 11 is verses 40 through 47. This passage concerns the story of Noah, and I'm not going to read the whole retelling of the story of Noah, but I'm going to read a portion. This portion deals with an aspect of the story of Noah that is in the Quran, but that is not in the Bible, and I find it very interesting. Here it talks about Noah's son, and something quite shocking happening to Noah's son. So let's go ahead and read verses 40 through 47, and then read some footnotes associated with the verses and just discuss all of it. Till when our command came and the oven gushed forth, we said, carry on board 2 of every kind, and thy family, save the one against whom the word has already gone forth, and those who believe. And none believed along with him, save a few. He said, embark upon it in the name of God, be its coursing and its mooring. Truly my Lord is forgiving, merciful. And it sailed with them upon waves like mountains. And Noah called out to his son, who remained aloof, O my son, embark with us, and be not with the disbelievers. He said, the son, I shall take refuge on a mountain. It will protect me from the water. He said, there is no protector on this day from the command of God, save for the one upon whom he has mercy. And the waves came between them, and he was among the drowned, the son. And it was said, O earth, swallow your water, and O sky, hold back. And the water was made to recede, and the command was carried out. And it settled on Mount Judy. And it was said, away with the wrongdoing people. And Noah called out to his Lord and said, O my Lord, truly my son is from my family. Thy promise is indeed true, and thou art the most just of judges. He said, God, O Noah, truly he is not from thy family. Surely such conduct was not righteous. So question me not concerning that whereof thou hast no knowledge. Truly I exhort thee, lest thou be among the ignorant. He said, my Lord, truly I seek refuge in thee from questioning thee concerning that whereof I have no knowledge. If thou dost not forgive me and have mercy upon me, I shall be among the losers. So in my opinion, the Quran is extremely confusing, and the fact that, it just says he said and he said without really explaining who's talking can make it a very difficult book to read, but I hope as I read that passage you were able to get an idea of who was talking with respect to Noah, Noah's son, and God. Now let's go ahead and reread verse 43 and the footnote associated with it, as I think the footnote will really bring clarity and, introduce a really interesting idea here. So let's go ahead and reread verse 43. He said, I shall take refuge on a mountain. It will protect me from the water. He said, there is no protector on this day from the command of God, save for the one upon whom he has mercy. And the waves came between them, and he was among the drowned. And now for the footnote. The son of Noah who remained aloof in verse 42 is said to have been named Yam, or Canaan. From a spiritual point of view, his statement that he would take refuge on a mountain can be understood to refer to the false sense of security, stability, and permanence symbolized by a mountain that the disbelievers, in their state of denial of God, assigned to the world. I find that really interesting. I mean, who knows what the exact true version of the story of Noah and his son is, but this version, like that, there is a moral lesson to take away from this Quranic telling of the story of Noah and the tragic ending of his son. Mankind's instinct to think that we can hide from God and take refuge in this world, that's a very foolish instinct, because obviously, like, we are nothing compared to the Creator who made not just the earth, but the stars and the sun, and who has control over the oceans. The idea that we can take refuge on a mountain, that we can hide, that we can escape God and go our own way and never have to face Him, and, the floods of his wrath when we are disobedient, is foolish. And I just think that that little footnote and just the whole idea of Noah's son, like, getting on the peak of a mountain to escape the flood rather than getting on the boat and being among the believers, like that, I think that's just a really striking a really striking idea and a really useful one. It's one that I'm going to think about a whole lot, and kind of interrogate my own life and be like, in what ways am I climbing on the peak of a mountain to be separate from what God wants instead of on the ark moving with what he wants me to be doing in this life. All right, so now I would like to reread verses 45 through 47 and read some of the portions of the footnotes associated with those verses that I think help add clarity to this whole passage and just kind of the relationship between Noah, his son, and God. And Noah called out to his Lord and said, "O my Lord, truly my son is from my family. Thy promise is indeed true, and thou art the most just of judges." He said, "O Noah, truly he is not from thy family. Surely such conduct was not righteous. So question me not concerning that whereof thou hast no knowledge. Truly I exhort thee, lest thou be among the ignorant." He said, "My Lord, truly I seek thee in refuge from questioning thee concerning that whereof I have no knowledge. If thou dost not forgive me and have mercy upon me, I shall be among the losers." And now for the footnotes. It is said that Noah pleaded with God to save his son because God had promised Noah that he would save his family, which is the promise to which Noah was referring when he said, "Thy promise is indeed true." From one perspective, God's words to Noah, "Truly he is not from thy family," mean that Noah's son did not belong to those members of Noah's family whom God had promised to save. This is in reference to the wording of verse 40, "Carry on board thy family, save the one against whom the word has already gone forth." From another perspective, Noah's son can be described as not being from Noah's family in a spiritual sense, as he rejected the message with which his father had come. See also chapter 6, verse 74, where Abraham's disassociation from his father is mentioned. The son's unrighteous conduct was denying God and disbelieving in him. Some read such conduct was not righteous to mean he was a doer of unrighteous conduct, which is the subject being implicit. Ignorant unless thou be among the ignorant refers more specifically to sinfulness. God exhorts Noah not to question him concerning his son's fate, lest he be among the sinners. Noah's words of repentance are identical to those uttered by Adam and his wife in chapter 7, verse 23, after Satan's trickery against them had become clear to them. I just find all of that to be really good, worthwhile information that helps bring, I think, some clarity to this somewhat confusing passage. And, I just think it's really interesting, where it says that, Noah's son was no longer really a part of Noah's true family, and that Noah's true family is with God, and Noah's son had kind of rejected God and gone his own way. And so, God didn't save him. All right, now, ladies and gentlemen, that will do it for my analysis portion of this book review and analysis of chapter 11 of the Quran. Now that you've heard my thoughts on the chapter, I am curious, what did you think of this chapter of the Quran? If you have read it, or if you haven't read chapter 11, what did you think of this video and the information that was provided in it? Did you find it interesting? Did you find it boring? Did you find it somewhere in the middle? Just whatever the case may be, let me know in the comments section below. And as always, if you liked this video, please like it and subscribe, tell your friends about the channel. And never forget to